Hello everyone, welcome back to Speaking Spurs and me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham on a day when we've got several bits of good news. Obviously yesterday the coaching staff were announced for Ange Postecoglou's team. They'll all start on the 1st of July. We'll do a separate video about them to talk about because that's probably the least exciting thing we have to talk about. Obviously Vicario came in as a new goalkeeper. Talk a little bit about him and then also the most exciting news to come out of Spurs is that today we should be seeing a medical for James Maddison, a deal that we were a little bit unsure that was going to happen for several reasons. So shall we start with that one? Why not? Let's just jump into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. It helps the channel grow. Hit the video with a like. You can do it right now whilst you're watching. And then don't forget to leave your comments below. I want to hear your thoughts, especially on the Vicario signing and what you actually think about whether he will be good enough to be our number one. Yeah. So, Leicester and Tottenham agree a 40 million deal. So, originally we thought we were going to miss out. One, because of Newcastle's interest, and two, just because Leicester were wanting 60 million and didn't seem to budge on that. So I'm assuming this 40 million means it's an initial deal. There will be add-ons in place to try and bump it up so Leicester can make a bit more money out of it in the long run. And if the deal works out well, for us, it's worth paying the extra money for an established international, great Premier League player, something that we've been missing. So, yeah, as I said, Newcastle were also interested in signing Maddison, who only had a year left on his Leicester contract. But as we've seen with the money that we want for Harry Kane, the money that Brentford wanted to David Raya, a year left on the contract doesn't mean anything to these clubs anymore. They're asking for the money. If they don't get it, then they'll just let the players run down their contract. They're just using it as a way to drum up the price as teams get desperate. So, yeah. But obviously we became in pole position after Newcastle decided to go for Tonali rather than being forced to pay an extortionate fee, because they've still got to go under the financial fair play rules. So Leicester were unwilling to sell Maddison in January, but following their relegation to the Championship, they have decided to cash in. So it is reported that he is having his medical today and closes in on the 40 million move. They have the agreement in place for the 26-year-old England international. So yeah, as I said, Newcastle dropped out because they've gone for Sandro Tonali from AC Milan. So this will bolster our midfield options. It's a top priority ahead of Postecoglou's first season in charge. It's also reported that Postecoglou himself gave the go-ahead for this to happen. Like, he knows his system inside out. He knows the sort of players that he needs. Tottenham haven't really had a proper attacking midfielder since we let Christian Eriksen go. Dele Alli kind of could have filled the role in a little bit of a different way, but we all know what happened to his career and the trajectory that took. Apologies if you hear a weird sound now, but I am about to have a drink at the same time. Oh, didn't fizz. Oh, there we go. There's the fizz. So, yeah, we've not been able to fill that space properly since Christian Eriksen. Maddison can be that man. He can play in several positions as well, which is very helpful in the system that we're going to see under Postecoglou. Apologies, throat's a bit dry. So, look, it's great news for us in terms of Maddison because it fills a homegrown quota. We also know that he can link up with Harry Kane, as we've saw briefly, very briefly for England, but when they did play together, they played very well. It's also a way of hopefully keeping Kane. I know there's lots of stuff going on with the Bayern Munich move that we obviously turned down. Apparently, he's got a verbal agreement with them himself, Harry Kane, which is kind of weird because he mentioned only a year ago that he's not looking to move abroad anytime soon. He obviously wants to break that Alan Shearer record. Apparently Bayern are going to come back with an improved bid. I do think there will hit a point where Daniel Levy is willing to sell. It would have to be crazy money for a player that's only got a year left. And it'll be a very good bit of business either way. If we keep Harry Kane, we get another year out of him. He might change his mind and decide to sign another contract, say, if we win a trophy. Most teams, if you look in the Premier League, Chelsea, when they didn't have any European football at all, they won the league. Now, I'm not saying for a second we're going to go win the league, so those of you that are sitting there going, oh, that's absolute rubbish, blah, blah, blah. We will probably have a better season through not being in Europe, especially with a new manager that's got lots of ideas to put across. The squad should be fresher. as well. So, you know, that's great. Obviously, the other transfer news that kind of happened, we know that Dejan Kulusevski then obviously became a permanent transfer. He's come up with some interesting quotes, though. I think by the sounds of it, he was very disappointed with the way that transfer took place, because for a little while he was in limbo. Obviously, his loan ended. We didn't take up the option straight away. I think Postecoglou needed a little bit of convincing before that took place, but ultimately he's in. And whilst we're on the Leicester links as well, Leicester apparently are actually in talks now to sign Harry Winks. Now, in terms of the club, I think it would be a good move for Harry Winks. However, I do think after his time in Sampdoria, he possibly could stay in the Premier League. I think he finished the season well enough. Like, I watched a fair bit of his time over there. Obviously, he's, you know, not just a homegrown player, he's a Tottenham-grown player. And nobody likes to see anyone's career take a downward spiral. But in the end, he made 20 appearances after missing the first part of the season through injury. Talks are progressing for him. I don't know whether he'll go to them or a Premier League club. They're also, Leicester, interested in Conor Cody as well. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about, you know, Maddison and why he's among the elite. And this came from Nick Wright from Sky Sports News. He was saying that Maddison's reputation is untarnished despite Leicester's relegation. In a difficult season for the club, he still managed 10 goals and 9 assists in the Premier League games alone. It was a continuation of his outstanding body of work at the King Power Stadium. Over the course of 5 seasons, he's established himself as one of the Premier League's best attacking midfielders. So if we just have a look at the little rankings there, since the 2018-19 season up until now, chances created 347, which ranks him 3rd. Big chances created 50, which ranks him at 7th. Assists 32, that puts him in at 8th. Shots 389, which puts him in at 4th, and goals 43, which ranks him 19th. Now, you've got to remember in that's from all the players in the Premier League. So if you think about it, 20 teams in the Premier League, that is a minimum of 20 strikers, right? And he's sitting at 19th. So he's ahead of some of the strikers since he's been in the Premier League in that time. So his status among the elite is evident in the statistics. Since his arrival at Leicester from Norwich in 2018, only 2 players, and they are Kevin De Bruyne and Trent Alexander-Arnold, have created more chances in the Premier League, while only 3, Mo Salah, Harry Kane and Sonny, have had more shots on goal. So that he also, I've said where he ranks there in everything. So those numbers, they just add up to show why the guy is in so much high demand. But if we look further back to his Coventry days, we were interested in him then, and it never happened. When he went to Norwich, we were interested in him then as well. And we've been interested in him ever since he's been at Leicester. And it looks like we're finally going to get the deal done, albeit for a much more inflated price than what we would have paid years ago. But then I suppose, you know, hindsight's a great thing. And had we have got Maddison, would we have got Dele Alli? And although he didn't carry on his trajectory, we had some great times with Dele Alli in the squad. Was a very, very likeable person. So, yes, very happy about this one if it gets done, and it should do. So the other one we have to talk about is obviously the goalkeeper that's come in. So I'll read the club statement. We are delighted to announce the signing of Guglielmo Vicario from Empoli, subject to international clearance and a work permit. The Italy international has signed a contract with the club that will run until 2028 and will wear the number 13 shirt. Now, a bit of context on that. He wore the number 13 shirt at Empoli, so there won't be an issue with that. He wore that for 2 seasons with them. The other thing is, we don't know what's happening with Hugo Lloris. He's made, obviously, publicly it known that he wants a new challenge, but as it stands, he's still a Tottenham player, so it would be a bit of a weird statement to take your club captain's number away from him and give it to a new guy, because we could end up in a situation where Hugo Lloris stays, depending on whether we get bids. Inter Milan have shown some slight interest, but we'll see where that goes. So born in Udine, Italy, Guglielmo spent his early years with Bierzi, joining Udinese's youth team in August 2013 before a season-long loan with Fontana Freda during the 2014-15 campaign, where he made a total of 30 appearances. A commanding goalkeeper with the ability to play out from the back, Guglielmo moved to Venezia in August 2015, making 89 appearances in all competitions for the Italian side, keeping 28 clean sheets, and in 2016-17 helped the club earn promotion to Serie B. So at the time he was playing in Serie C, while also claiming the Coppa Italia Lega Pro. So after 4 years with Venezia, he joined Cagliari in July 2019 before heading out on loan to Perugia for the duration of the campaign, where he made 39 appearances. So the athletic stopper returned, making his Serie A debut in April 2021, and after featuring on 7 occasions for Cagliari, he joined Empoli on a season-long loan in July 2021, a deal which turned permanent the following year. An impressive 2-year spell with Empoli saw Guglielmo make a total of 71 appearances in all competitions for the Serie A outfit. His eye-catching performances earned him his first international call-up in September 2022 ahead of Italy's latest UEFA Nations League campaign, where the Azzurri eventually finished in 3rd place. So he's been away with the international team for Italy, hasn't actually played any minutes for them, so I wonder whether he's going to take a longer, well, the holiday allowance is allowed, or he'll just be eager and come in. He obviously had his first Spurs interview, spoke quite well, he's got decent English, so that's a good thing. There's been very mixed reviews from the Spurs fans, like some saying this is unambitious, are we just going cheap? I can tell you now, the David Raya thing, for a year left in his contract and the price they were saying, I know a lot of you are saying just pay the money. Look, I get it. But if you actually look at some of the statistics between the two goalkeepers, pass completion rate, you will see that Guglielmo is much better. And one of the biggest things with Postecoglou's system is that the keepers need to be very quick at releasing the ball from the back and accurately for that relentless attacking football. David Raya obviously played a slightly different system at Brentford. I know they were very good on the attack, but they had this thing where they like to pause for a moment, draw the team in, and then pounce, whereas Postecoglou just likes to completely overrun teams and kind of overwhelm them and put them into a false sense of security and just bam, 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 bam. Just keep going. His football's relentless. And Guglielmo plays that way. So there was a little interview that Guglielmo's dad did, saying about the fact that he'd already had a call from Postecoglou talking about why he wanted him to bring him in. He was saying that he liked the fact that they share a similar story where they've started at the bottom and worked their way up. And I know a lot of you out there will be going, he's a keeper that's had to come through the leagues. It's kind of no different to a normal goalkeeper's journey. I know he's a little bit older before he made it to the big time, but if you look at it in a different way, a lot of backup goalkeepers at clubs, they had to come through the youth academy, and if they didn't go out on loan, they either go out on loan to different clubs or they work their way through the club's youth ranks and then they're introduced into the first team. All that's happened with Guglielmo is he started, instead of being on loan at those bigger clubs, he's just been being at a big club and being on loan to smaller clubs, what he's done is just been a permanent signing at a smaller club and worked his way up. So it's no different whatsoever, because these players are not getting the elite level training at a top club anyway, because they're on loan at the lower league clubs to ply their trade and get the experience. So all he's done is the same route without actually having a parent club in the elite the whole time. It's no different whatsoever. So, and you've got to remember as well, it's a very different position. Football teams can only have one number one, okay? So in a league of 20 teams, there's only really 20 goalkeepers that are going to play regularly. You know, other keepers come in for injuries, or if a keeper has a bad bit of form, and the backups come in. Third choice goalkeepers rarely ever play at all. So he's been playing consistent football everywhere that he's been. So I don't see a problem with this. And it seems like he's played well pretty much everywhere he's been. There's good reviews about him from several Italian coaches, Italian players. He's very highly thought of. And part of the thing that I like is that he's managed to work his way up. He's worked hard and done it. He hasn't had to be at a bigger club to keep going on loan to do it. He's managed to prove himself at each level and step up. And the fact that he's being called into the Italian squad, it just tells you how far he's come. So I would say, look, put your faith in him. There must be something they see in him. His passing definitely helps. And to be honest, I think with goalkeeping, the only thing that you really need to adapt to is a bit of physicality when you're coming to collect crosses and the ability to pass quickly. That's all you really need to do, because you're not going to go to a different league and then all of a sudden the shooting is different. You know, they don't have in the Premier League, they hit a certain type of shot differently to what they do in Italy. There's world-class strikers in all the leagues, okay? So he's come up against decent strikers. So we already know he can save. So look, just have a little bit of faith. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. And still, at 17.2 million, especially in today's market, if he can go on and be our number one for years to come, then it's a brilliant bit of business, the same as we had with Hugo Lloris. And when Hugo Lloris leaves, we will do a big piece on him. I still need to do a full piece on Lucas Moura, because his contract must be up now, or very, very, very close. So we'll do a little bit of that. But anyway, that is it for today. I will do a video on coaching staff. I'll probably do that one later today. But I just wanted to get this one out because it's way more exciting to talk about signings than it is our manager's assistants. So yeah, thanks for sticking around for that one. Next time we speak, the deal for Maddison might actually be completed anyway. So I have been Kieran from Speaking Spurs. Don't forget to subscribe, support the video with a like, and definitely leave your comments below on the thoughts of Vicario and James Maddison. And until next time, come on you Spurs.